Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today. Once again, as you can see by the group of people we have here, the reason we're successful here is we work together, and we like it. And as a result, our Operation Traffic Stop ended up with 213 arrests. But let me introduce some folks to you before we begin. We've got Sam Taylor, who is from the Lakeland Police Department, also with Captain Ty Thompson. The Auburndale Police Department will have Chief Terry Story. Haines City Police Department will have Deputy Chief Jay Hopwood. The Bartow Police Department we have Chief Brian Dorman. Winter Haven Police Department we have Captain Don Nunnery. Lake Wells Police Department we have Lieutenant Mike Smith. Devonport Police Department we have Chief Steve Parker. We also have our social service agencies, folks, and I want you to know that the mental health and behavioral health support that they receive immediately is so very important to this operation. We have Michaela Klein and Jody Domain. I always mess your name up, Jody. Domain. Domain.
Guys, stop getting ripped off by your car insurance company and check this out. Okay, are you ready? All right, so let's take a look.
Dr. Marianne Thomas, Canadian Parchment, Sarah Rockwell, Laura Swink, and they are from My Name, My Voice, One More Child, Heartland for Children, Child Protection Team, Sail of Freedom, and also DCF from the state of Florida participated. They're not here with us today, but they were there every day of the operation. So what occurred? This all started on February the 6th through the 12th. The run-up to Super Bowl. We are doing a human trafficking operation, as we do several times a year, where we're looking for the victims of human trafficking, those that are forced to participate, those that are made to participate, those that are treated inhumanely. We had 213 arrests, as I said previously. In addition to the human trafficking arrest, the prostitution arrest, we had drugs, we had guns, we had prostitution, we had Johns. Across the spectrum of criminal charges, we had those. 111 were prostitutes, 89 were Johns. There were 24 victims that I want to show you here that we suspect are victims of human trafficking. That's why they're blanked out. Now, we suspect this, and all of these are being counseled with at this time. What I'm excited to announce to you today, this is the most we've identified at the initial stage of the investigation or operation. As you know, the human trafficking victim is a very difficult victim to work with because they're scared. They're certainly more scared of their pimp, of their trafficker, than they are of law enforcement. But this time, these ladies and their team of counselors did and continue to do remarkable work. They'll talk more about that later. But if you look, we've got a color code here. Because of our human trafficking victims, 14 of these females are illegally in this country. Did you hear that? Did you hear clearly what I said? 14 of them are here illegally in the country. To me, the bombshell is 13 of them are Cuban, one is Mexican. All of them came to us through the southern border. So I want you to focus for just a second as I speak, that we hear the political 30-second bites about, oh, the border's porous. No, it's not. The border is secure. No, it's not. There's really not a crisis at the border. Yes, there's a crisis at the border. Wake up. Somebody in Washington with more than 5 brain cells needs to listen to this. Well, maybe asking them to have 5 brain cells too many. Let's shoot for 3 brain cells. But the reality is, this is what we found. These ladies all arrived within the last 2 years. The majority of them arrived within the last 6 months. Some of them arrived in the last 2 weeks. And just how did they get here and what was told to us? That they were paying off their transportation debt, that they were being smuggled into the United States to have sex, that their family at home was being threatened if they didn't come here and do what they were supposed to and pay off the debts. Did you hear that? So it's not enough that we've got illegal entries. Forget the illegal entries for a moment that are coming here to work, to do good, to do better for their family. What everyone's ignoring is the traffickers in fentanyl that are killing thousands upon thousands upon thousands of our people every day. The traffickers of methamphetamine that are all coming across that border with the traffickers of fentanyl. That these human traffickers are forcing ladies across this border to commit sex so they can indenture them. And yet, we don't do what we need to do. I suggest to you that what we are doing with the immigration issue today is simply this. It's like you go home this evening and, oh my gosh, a pipe is broken and I've got water all over the floor. Well, the federal government's got water all over the floor and they're in there trying to mop it up. At least they say they are. But at the same time, the pipe's still pumping more water onto the floor. The first thing you do when you go home this evening and you find a pipe is broken and you've got water on the floor is you go find the source and turn the valve off. And then you mop up and you fix the problem. But we don't. So these ladies are being forced across the border. They're being threatened to kill their families back at home. At the end of the day, some of them say, well, it's also a quick avenue for cash. I'm here illegally. I can't speak English. What these ladies have discovered, and they're going to give you the details, is most of the time when we arrest what I call a professional prostitute, she's angry, she's mad, she lashes out. What we saw with these human trafficking victims is they're scared, they're dejected, they're depressed.
You're the guy with the gun, the person who would do anything to protect the ones you love. But did you know you could go to jail for simply doing the right thing to keep your family safe? Don't end up.
The Cubans said they came here through Nicaragua. They had to make their way through Honduras, Guatemala, all the way through Mexico to the United States border. So how do you traverse all of that area? Coyotes, smugglers. They identify them and say, here, you're coming, we'll get you there, and you're paying. And these ladies were paying a ridiculous, horrible price. So at the end of the day, we arrested also 4 previous prostitutes that we'd arrested before in previous operations, and 1 John. One arrest was not enough for him here or for the 4 ladies, and we arrested them again. So some of these pictures are up here for a second time. 2 of our Johns showed up with concealed firearms. 22 of these folks were on public assistance. You know what I think about that. We all work. We pay our taxes. We expect public assistance to go to those who are very old, very young, that are significantly in need and can't care for themselves. But they're healthy enough while you're paying taxes and they're getting your tax money that they can come here and prostitute or seek out prostitutes. That's right, 22 of them were on public assistance. 54 were arrested with some form of drug charges. We filed over 100 drug charges. But I would be incomplete if I didn't introduce you to what I call a few of our people. This color of these work histories and jobs and professional positions are always interesting. And where would we be with a human trafficking operation without an elected official? That's right, this guy comes from the San Diego area of California. He was supposedly here helping his mom and dad, and hey, he had a few minutes, so he decided he would come here and engage in sex. He solicited sex for $200. He's on the governing board of the Del Mar Union Public School District. Now, don't you want this guy making decisions for your children? Oh, he's educated. He's got a PhD from the University of Southern California. He's married. He's married. I don't know what his wife thinks about this, or if she doesn't know about it, it'd be a good time to watch social media, or her local news station will provide it to him in Southern California. He's also a molecular biologist. You know, most of us can't even say molecular biologist, and he is one. He's retired currently. At one time, he owned a massage studio. He doesn't own that any longer. Today, he's got a new title, Jailbird, in Polk County. This guy knows better. He's supposed to be a leader in the community. He's an elected official. He's making decisions for our children, and he's out soliciting prostitutes. Then there's Christopher Patassi from Lakeland. He's a registered sex offender, but he's not originally from Lakeland. No, he's from Massachusetts, and they were kind enough to send him to us. He has arrests from 1993, 1995, 1997, 2000, and 2006 in Massachusetts for what? Sex offender charges. And he has a sex offender status. He is arrested currently for prostitution. He's unemployed, but we are doing background investigations with hopes that we can charge him with other appropriate charges because he has a sex offender status. That investigation is ongoing. Then there's Jessica Nichols from Spring Hill. She came to offer sex, $350 for an hour, and she denied she was there for that. She said, "Oh, I sell drugs now. I don't prostitute anymore." She showed up with a trafficking amount of fentanyl. She also had meth and cocaine that she was in possession of and ready to sell. She's unbelievable. She's, by the way, also doesn't pay her traffic citations because she's had an outstanding warrant from Pasco County for a traffic infraction. Sheriff Naco, we got one of you ladies here. We're going to send her back to you, but she's not supposed to be driving. Then there's Jessica Burgess. She's from Clearwater. She's a convenience store clerk. Okay, what's so exciting about that? She was released from the Florida State Prison she was in there on drug charges. Released from the Florida State Prison on February the 7th. So how did she celebrate being released from state prison? Getting arrested on February the 11th. 4 days later, she's got arrested for prostitution, and she's in possession of what? Illegal drugs, like got her locked up. Do you think she learned her lesson? I think not. We'll give her another opportunity to go to prison based on her meth arrest. But here's a clear indication, folks. We think these folks are low-level, nonviolent offenders, and just given the right environment, they will correct their ways. It took her 4 days to get arrested.
We're giving away these gold bars absolutely free. And did you notice who's on it? That's right, none other than Donald J., who will make this country great once again. Isn't it just beautiful? These are just fantastic, let me tell you. They're perfect to collect and keep for yourself, or maybe even to gift a friend or family member who loves Joe. Either way, we're giving them away absolutely free for the next 24 hours only. You just have to cover the shipping. Any true patriot would be crazy to not get their hands on these. Our goal is to give away as many as possible to show our support for how great this country is.
Then there's Jermichael Bradley. He's from Tampa. He brought his girlfriend. She's the human trafficking victim. He was in possession of a firearm. Did I mention he was a convicted felon? Did I mention the firearm that he was in possession of as a convicted felon was stolen? You'd think that's a newsflash, but it's not. We arrest people every day. The Florida legislature, and yes, the federal government, needs to pass legislation that says, hey, on minimum mandatories for firearms, you have to serve 100% of your sentence, and if the prosecutor does not bring this charge to court, he needs to say in writing why he's letting a felon with a firearm not be prosecuted. Well, by the way, they also brought an 8-month-old baby with him. That got him a contributing charge. So he's pimping his girlfriend, he's bringing his 8-month-old baby, he's got a concealed firearm, and he's on public assistance. If wonders will never cease. He said he is a chef at Three Brothers. I don't think Three Brothers wants him cooking anymore. Just saying. And then there's Zune Show. Zune Show is from Riverview. He is a software engineer for FICO. That's right, the credit report people. He's been there 28 years. He's married. Did you hear what I said? He's married. His wife was out of the country and he said he was lonely. He also admitted that he goes to USF football games to look at the girls. He might as well. There's not much football being played over there right now. So we arrested him. So while most people go to watch a football game, he goes to watch the girls. And he said it. He actually admitted it. And then there's Bailey Purcell from Temple Terrace. He's a wide receiver for the USF football team. While Zune is not watching him play football, he's watching the girls. And this guy is no longer a wide receiver because he's been caught. You almost want to feel sorry for him. He's a kid. He said, "Can you call my pastor? But whatever you do, don't call my parents." Tells me he's got some really good parents at home. I believe they will correct his mistake between the parents and the pastor and the court system. But he was soliciting a prostitute. And then there's Zachary Wright. He's a software engineer. He's currently unemployed. He said he's glad he's not working. It would not look good to his boss that he was arrested. And he said, oh, by the way, I've got family. My family's real good friends with the police chief in Plant City. My dad's a lawyer and is good friends with the police chief in Plant City. And they said, well, what's his name? He goes, I don't know, but they're really good friends if that makes any difference. Well, I don't think the police chief's going to bond you out. That's the most difference it could make. Neon Vega from Tampa. He works for United States Postal Service, the post office. When we called to advise them and to check to make sure what he was telling us was truthful, they said, just say he works for the federal government. Okay, he works for the federal government. He's married. He said he messed up, and we were messing him up because we kept him up all night. By the time the booking and going to jail was over, he was supposed to take his kids to the zoo the next day. He was charged with deriving proceeds. You ain't going to believe this. Because he brought a female to the op. Did you hear what I said? It was not his wife. So the dude's married. He works for the post office. Maybe he was just delivering mail. I don't know. In this case, he was delivering female. You know, but at the end of the day, he's brought a girl to prostitute at the op who's not his wife. This guy's just a nut. And then there's Craig Van Elsen from Brandon. He's been with UPS for 28 years. He's married, and he left his wife so that he could come over here and get himself in trouble. This operation could not have been possible without our colleagues from the police departments. I'm just telling you right now, it was a massive operation. And I've asked our chiefs if they wanted to speak, and Chief Sam Taylor said that he would speak on behalf of the police chiefs. Chief, come on up.
Thank you, Sheriff. The Sheriff calls
Don't buy solar panels. Seriously, there is a very good reason why we're saying this. If you're thinking about buying solar panels, don't. The U.S. government will literally buy them for you if you take 60 seconds to answer a few questions below. Hi there. If you are a homeowner in America, and you wouldn't mind saving a couple $1,000s on your electricity bill this year.
occasionally and wants to do these operations, and I can tell you that Lakeland Police Department will always say yes. We are proud and honored of the leadership that the sheriff shows in this regard, and he's always leading from the front. He never asks us to provide, manpower and resources that he doesn't double that typically. So on behalf of the men and women of the Lakeland Police Department, we are grateful and honored to be asked to participate in this. And all the police chiefs up here, I think I speak on their behalf, is that this is a joint operation. This is a county-wide operation, and it moves all over the county. Sometimes it's in the east side of the county, sometimes it's in Lakeland, and it gets moved all over. But these things have happened in the past. These operations have happened in the past. I anticipate they will happen in the future. Apparently the word is not getting out, but the word needs to get out. This is not something that you want to bring to Polk County. And we're going to continue to hammer that home until the message does get out. But again, I want to thank the sheriff for his leadership and all the resources that he provides and his attention to this human trafficking issue. And that's really what it boils down to. It's not about putting these low level, as the sheriff calls them, misdemeanor crimes. These folks are dangerous. Some of these folks bring guns, and the human trafficking aspect is what's important. And that's why some of these ladies are up here, and they're going to talk to you about that in a second. And that's the gist of trying to identify and help these ladies. And that's the most important thing. So again, thank you for allowing us, Sheriff, to participate, and we will look forward to working with you in the future. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Jody Domingue. I'm the Executive Director of Anti-Trafficking for One More Child. One More Child is an organization that last year impacted over 400,000 children and families by focusing on foster children, hungry children, single moms, struggling families, and trafficked children and adults. We provide anti-trafficking services in 21 counties throughout the state of Florida, but also North Carolina and Tennessee. And we've had the opportunity of partnering with the Sheriff's Office on these operations since 2014. In this operation, we were able to meet with 86 individuals who could be current or former victims of human trafficking or sexual exploitation. And as the sheriff mentioned, many of these victims this time are from different countries, which is an extra layer of vulnerability because they do not speak our language. So we are able to meet with them and provide services immediately, Spanish-speaking services and other translated services when necessary. And these services include advocacy, access to necessary resources, mentorship, and specialized mental health counseling. Now, not every individual of those 86 are able to be identified as a victim now or former victim, but what we do know is that nobody grows up dreaming of a life where their bodies are being sold for profit. The men and women who are walking through those doors have histories of being trafficked, abused, and exploited. And One More Child offers critical services to begin the healing process and to also provide opportunities that end the cycles of sexual exploitation. Every time the sheriff does these operations, more and more individuals are arrested, and it's honestly shocking that we're not learning what trafficking looks like in this community. And there are many myths that fuel what trafficking looks like, and they take precious resources away from law enforcement agencies and also misidentify victims who are involved. Very rarely does trafficking involve kidnapping. It also rarely, almost never, involves a mom and her children being followed in a grocery store and being targeted, or cars that are marked for later victimization. It most often looks like generations of cyclical poverty and individuals who are desperate to have their needs met for survival. It also looks like people coming over the border from other countries and having additional vulnerabilities like not speaking the language, or a young daughter who's being coerced online by an older boyfriend, or may have shared a picture that unfortunately exposes too much and now she's indebted to that person. So please, we urge you, learn what these signs look like in your community. If you want information about what trafficking looks like, how to identify it, how to prevent it, how to intervene with it, please contact us at onemorechild.org. And also, if you see something suspicious within your community, please contact your local law enforcement agency. And if it's a minor, the Department of Children and Families. Sheriff Judd, Polk County Sheriff's deputies, and the various agencies here again today, we thank you so much for your partnership and continued service.
You guys see this amazing truck? My car insurance company was totally ripping me off for it until I found this. All right, guys, so check this out. $178 was what I was paying for my previous policy for my Ford F-150. $157 policy premium and then some fees, total.
Good morning. My name is Katie Ann Parchment. I'm with Heartland for Children, and I'm also the co-chair for the Polk, Highlands, and Hardy Counties Human Trafficking Task Force. Through the Sheriff Department, we've had the opportunity to participate in this type of operations for over the last 10 years. And I will say this year has been such a blessing to us to be able to work up front and more closely in collaboration with law enforcement and our partner agencies to really get on the forefront and speak to the people who are being identified as victims. As the sheriff said earlier, we had over 20 women who identified as being human trafficking victims. The opportunity to be there with them and speak life into them in that moment when they are scared, when they are in a country oftentimes where they don't speak the language, where they're in a situation where law enforcement is all around them. The ability to say, I'm not law enforcement, but I'm here to help and I'm here to give you resources is comforting to those people in that moment. And so I am thankful for that collaboration that we've had. And I am also thankful for the opportunity to really help those people who are being victimized see that there's hope in life and light after being through something like this. This is trauma. And when we think about adverse childhood experiences and how that manifested itself in traumatic episodes as adults, then we as Heartland for Children and all these other providers have an opportunity to really help them see that there's resources, there's people within the community, there's resources through the Department of Children and Families that are able to help them and help them get out of the life. So I will leave you with this. If you are being victimized, if you know someone who is being victimized, reach out to Heartland for Children, One More Child, Sailor Freedom, the Department of Children and Families, local law enforcement, My Voice, My Name, or My Name, My Voice, to get assistance, because there's someone out there who cares, and you're valuable and you're wanted and you're loved. So reach out for help if you are able to do so. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Ann Thomas. I am the founder and CEO of My Name, My Voice. We are a collective of lived experience experts who provide training from everything from HT 101 to ongoing programmatic experiences. And so I have been honored to work alongside Sheriff Judd, and I have to say this has been an amazing experience. What I have seen in this operation is really a coming together. I am thankful for all of the police departments represented, and I saw from every step of the way when people were arrested all the way through their affidavit, all the way through the book-in process. People were using, all of the detectives and officers and deputies were using trauma-informed approach and treating people with humanity. And it was a beautiful thing to see that even while they were committing heinous crimes, they were still being treated well. I have been honored to work alongside this department for quite some time now. And what I also saw is, while it is shocking and a shame that there were people there who did not speak the language, there were also people every step of the way who could interact with them, who did speak the language, who were bilingual, from the sheriff's department, the police department, and the service providers, so that they were able to feel heard in that moment. And that was also what we really do need. It is a collaboration. It is a collective of voices. Not any one of us can do this work alone because it is so hard. I am thankful to be a part of this. Every single time the sheriff calls, my answer is yes, and I thank you so much for caring. I'd like to echo what my friend Jody said, that many of these people came from a life of exploitation, that while they were arrested on prostitution charges, and it very much looks like it is their choice, we know that it's really not their choice because of all of the trauma that happened from childhood on up. And so if you are someone who I met this week that we talked, please reach out. You have a number that you got that night. Reach out to any of these organizations. We want to help you take that step out. Reach out to those detectives. They also want to help you take a step out of that life. Thank you.
If you could have your own Walmart store making thousands of dollars a day, and you didn't even have to manage it, would you do it? $1,000, $5,000, even $10,000 per day or more in passive income. Fully.
Are there any questions?
Sheriff, I want to ask you about the people who are profiting from this. You mentioned two guys who brought females along. Did you catch anybody who's actually organizing anything? And how important is it to do that, especially for the women who are being illegally brought in?
First off, it's very important that we catch the organizers of this. But this is like doing let me compare it to a street level drug investigation. Okay, we have caught the buyer and the seller. That's what we've done today. But we know the buyer and the seller is only the beginning of the chain. It's not the end of the chain. Now, the follow-up investigation from this point forward is, where did this person come from, and where did that person come from, and who made all this available, and where did they intercept these girls, and then it takes us across the borders. And that's where it gets really, really difficult, because this stuff is being allowed, encouraged, because, hey, you can come to the United States and they're going to open the border, and, well, I don't have the money to get there. I have a solution for you. So a lot of these people are naive. A lot of them are just trying to get to the land of milk and honey. And as a result, they're being trafficked. And then they get here and find out that it's not just that you pay and go. Now you've got to work it off. And when is it worked off? When do you pay? When's enough enough? And wait a minute, I thought I was going to get a legal job here. No, you're going to prostitute here. So there's a lot of investigation to do, and it's not over. This is simply the beginning for those folks, because you're exactly right. The goal is, how high up can we get in the organization? And that investigation is still to be done.
How do the different departments, become alerted to these? I guess people seeking prostitution or vice versa. Is it like just random traffic stops, or do they create an online presence?
Sure, it's social media, it's online. Listen, folks, it's no, earth-shaking statement here. The whole world's on social media. This whole operation was built around social media. I mean, think about it. We set up shop at an undisclosed location and go out on social media, and 200 people show up. How does that happen? Well, it does. This doesn't count all of the phone calls that these police agencies staff, or the interactions online these police agency staff members got that said, Polk County, I'm not coming to Polk County. This is the ones that did. I'm telling you, normally it's for every one we catch, there's 5 or 10 that don't show when they GPS it and find out that it's in the county. So at the end of the day, it took a lot of work by a lot of people, but we stood up an undercover operation, if you will, a business, and they came. And they keep coming. And I can tell you, despite all this media today, we could still be running this operation and arrest them tonight because they're tone deaf. They don't pay any attention to the law, and until we hold them accountable. So when you think about it, we caught, what, 5 for a second trip here? Well, that's not too bad, but the fishing still is good. But we will continue on, and my message is clear. We don't make it a secret. If we didn't get you in this operation, we'll get you in the next operation, because if you come in this county and mess with these police departments or the sheriff's office and you don't think you're not going to be arrested, you're smoking some funny weed.
Your partners for showing up today. Again, for your records, I'm Hernando County Sheriff Al Nienhuis. It's spelled Nienhuis, and it's pronounced Nienhuis. Actually, I'm going to have talk a little bit about 3 different homicides that have occurred in the very recent past here in Hernando County, kind of bring all of them together, and then maybe talk about some things that our public can do to help prevent them from becoming victims, particularly of violent crime. The first one I want to talk about very briefly, and I can't talk much about it because it's still an open investigation, and that's our Hazel Street homicide that occurred on February 7th. It was about 11:30 p.m. Most of you know that there was a 17-year-old victim in that particular case. And I will tell you that over the last several days, my detectives have been working pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, doing a tremendous number of interviews, probably in the upwards of 75 to 80 different interviews, doing a tremendous amount in the way of search warrants and other type of legal process like subpoenas and so forth. The workload is overwhelming in that case, but I will tell you that we know a tremendous amount more than we did when the first call came in, and we're definitely making some serious progress on that. And as soon as we have something specific that the detectives will allow me to release, we'll be able to do that. But We have people from every area of the sheriff's office. I won't go over it with you, but they're working very, very hard on that. One thing on that particular case I'd like to talk about a little bit about is making sure the public does not become susceptible nor spread rumors or information that has not been relayed by the sheriff's office. If anybody has any information, we'd appreciate it if they'd contact us directly. Spreading rumors through social media, we've all played the telephone game, and sometimes those rumors get exaggerated, and then they come to us and they become leads, and oftentimes they are vastly incorrect. And so we want to remind the public, contact us. Don't put rumors on social media. Also, when you're talking about a 17-year-old victim, it's very easy for passions to run high. We want to make sure that people don't ever attempt to take the law into their own hands, for the simple reason that oftentimes the information out there is incorrect, and we certainly don't want additional victims, particularly if a particular individual may not have had anything to do with the crime. And that's what our job is, and that's why these things take some time, and they can't be done overnight. So we want to know, we want the public to know that we are working very hard on it. We want to bring the people to justice who committed this terrible crime as much as anybody else, but please don't take the law into your own hands. And as the theme with any of our violent crimes, make sure you are concerned about even casual acquaintances. In this particular situation, I think I go on record as saying this particular victim was not engaged in a high-risk lifestyle. She is a true victim in this case, but at the same time, it's very unusual. Almost 100% of the time, it is because of people that are either acquaintances that are living rather a high-risk lifestyle, or family brings an acquaintance into this situation that's living a high-risk lifestyle. So bottom line is make sure that the people you interact with are not living a high-risk lifestyle, and your chances of being a victim, I know there are many concerns out there on this particular one that somebody might become a victim. But again, if you are not living a high-risk lifestyle and not interacting with people that are living a high-risk lifestyle, your chances of being a victim are very, very slim. The next one I'd like to talk a little bit about is this is a couple pictures of Hazel Avenue here. Most of you know that. Now we'll talk a little bit about a residential fire that occurred on Harwell Street in Brooksville. This particular crime was called in on January 20th at about 1:20 in the morning. A neighbor actually called saying that there was a house fire, and of course initially we had no indication of whether there was any individual inside the house. It was a very intense fire. Let me see here. Whoops. Michael, I might need some help here. Oh, here we go. No.
On the other screen.
Oh.
Here.
Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Okay. Here's some indications of the fire. You can see it in the background. It's a little bit long, so I'll try to move through it a little bit quicker. But you can see here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen the fire in the background. It was a very, very intense fire. As I said initially, we did not know if there was any individuals inside. We did later on, and I'll move this through here. We'll have this available for our media, but you can see some of the aftermath there of the fire. After it was extinguished, it took about 90 minutes for fire rescue to extinguish the fire. Pasco Sheriff's Office cadaver dogs were called in, and we did unfortunately locate human remains in the structure. Detectives obtained a search warrant. They did find a deceased human and 4 deceased dogs in the structure. The medical examiner, of course, responded and took the remains for autopsy. The remains were very, very badly burnt. Detectives started talking to interviews, and one family member reported dropping off an individual at this particular house, Brianna Amon. Her date of birth is October 7th, 2001. She was dropped off at the house by another family member on 119 between 10 and 10:30 p.m. Interviews and subsequent investigation revealed that she was the possible suspect. She has past issues with drugs, some mental health concerns, as well as significant family problems. On 123, Amon actually called the sheriff's office claiming she was lost in the woods, and she was actually using the telephone of the victim. She was saying that she needed a ride. When deputies responded to her location, we were not able to locate her. Detectives continued to follow up on leads and hoping to locate her. We did find out that she was, through investigation, found out that she was given a ride by an individual and left the area before detectives got there. Of course, we did an autopsy was performed, and the results on that are still pending, and the state fire marshal is testing for accelerants and so forth. But I will tell you that we did find Amon. Marion County actually found her at a homeless camp, I believe, and she actually admitted to starting the fire. She also stated after starting the fire that she took the victim's cell phone and left the residence on foot, and she also told detectives that she was aware that the victim was sleeping in the residence when the fire was started. She told detectives she stole the victim's cell phone because she needed one, in her words, and she remains at the Marion County Detention Center, and she'll be transported to Hernando County. She's currently charged with first-degree murder, no bond. She's also charged with arson of an occupied dwelling and a $25,000 bond, and grand theft from a dwelling, and her bond on that is $5,000. So she is currently being charged with that particular homicide and that arson. Detectives had to work really hard on that one as well. She does have several criminal histories, not extensive, but there were a couple arrests for battery, possession of a concealed weapon, criminal mischief, petty theft, and grand theft of a motor vehicle and so forth. And those charges were disposed of previously. Now, our last one I want to talk about is one that occurred just within the last couple days. It happened at our homeless camp. Oops. This is a homeless camp that is on US 19. It is a little bit south of North Cliff, a little bit north of the, for those who are familiar with it, there's a Lowe's and a Home Depot. It's a little bit north of that. It's on the east side of the road. And we received a call at about, on February 11th, just a couple days ago, and we received a call at about 4:20 p.m. Units were dispatched within about 22 seconds. And the first unit actually arrived in that particular situation about 44 seconds after being dispatched. So we had somebody in the area very quickly. Deputies located a victim who was stabbed and started performing first aid. Of course, Hernando County Fire Rescue was right behind us and transported the individual to a trauma center. And deputies developed suspect information. Regina Ritter. This is a picture of Regina. They started canvassing the area, and the canine actually located her bicycle a short distance away. It's important to note that she did not live in this homeless camp. She actually had a house close by, but she had several acquaintances there, including our victim. They weren't in a relationship as we'd normally think, but they certainly weren't paramours or anything. They were just acquaintances. And they found her bicycle leaning up against a tree. Fortunately, one of the deputies working the area through good community policing type details was able to contact this individual. He actually had her phone number, was able to contact her, and she said she was in the woods and she was lost. They were able to actually locate her in a wooded area near Hoffman Avenue and Blue Water Avenue, and the investigation revealed that she actually had a writ of bodily attachment for failure to pay child support out of Citrus County. So she was able to be taken into custody under that particular writ of bodily attachment. And after the interview, detectives started conducting a search of Ritter's bag incident to that arrest and located a bloody knife that we believe was used in the stabbing. And the important thing is we had several witnesses there. Again, a lot of interviews had to be done, and we were able to determine that none of the witnesses said that the victim in this case did anything overt. He was not aggressive in any way. They were arguing, but it was totally verbal. And during the altercation, the witnesses said that Ritter actually stabbed the victim. They know each other, they're acquaintances, and the witness statements, of course, were totally opposite from what Ritter was saying as far as what transpired. On February 12th at about 5 o'clock in the morning, unfortunately, the victim in this case was pronounced deceased at the hospital. He had some pretty significant injuries in the chest area, and they were not able to save him at the hospital. So after working with the state attorney's office, Ritter was charged with manslaughter regarding the stabbing and was held on a $30,000 bond. Now, we did serve a search warrant at her house, and we did obtain additional evidence, and an autopsy, of course, was completed by the medical examiner's office, and the results on that are pending. The case is still being investigated. Now, in this particular case with Ritter, she has an extensive criminal history, and I won't go over all of it, but she has arrest for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, possession of methamphetamine, felony theft. She has felony driving with suspended driver's license, a couple of those, domestic battery, possession of paraphernalia, violation of a domestic violence injunction. She obviously has, this was not domestic related, but she has a lot of domestic type issues. Many of them have violence involved. And in this particular case, people may say, why was she out on the street with this extensive history? A lot of times our witnesses, particularly when it's involved in a domestic dispute, our witnesses and our victims are not always willing to give us the information or work with the state attorney's office to pursue the charges. So again, we want to encourage individuals, if somebody is a victim, particularly of domestic violence, to follow through with those charges, particularly if there's violence involved and it's a serious charge, because again, the only way we can prevent these things is making sure these people are off the streets. And I think most people would argue that she should not have been on the streets with her extensive criminal history. So that's a little bit of an update on the three. We have the one that occurred in South Brooksville. We're still under the investigation. And then the two subsequent, the arson, which resulted in a death, that we have made an arrest in that. And then this homeless camp, the stabbing, which again resulted in death, and we've made an arrest in that. So on the second two, I can probably answer a couple questions. I might have a couple detectives here if there's anything specific I can't answer, and I'll be happy to help try my best to answer them for you. Yes, ma'am.
On the second case about arson, can you tell us a little bit about the relationship between the suspect and the victim?
I've got to be very careful when it comes to Marcy's Law, but I can tell you that they were related. And again, this is a situation where somebody is trying out of the goodness of their heart to maybe take in somebody with some issues, both criminal and maybe some mental health issues, and then ends up becoming a victim. In this case, the worst possible outcome resulted in death, but it was a case where they were related. And the victims, in addition to providing some place for the person to stay, also often hopes that people will maybe help fix up the house a little bit or things like that, and often that doesn't work out. So again, interacting with people, even relatives that are living a high-risk lifestyle, really puts you in pretty serious danger sometimes.
And I know you really can't speak to the first case involving that 17-year-old, but there was a second victim who was also shot. Can you give us an update about that? person?
I don't have anything specific other than the person is obviously still alive, and I believe has been released from the hospital. So that's all I can say on that. But yeah, that person's doing well, all things considered. So, any other questions on those?
The first one again, just to ask, you said there were arrests made on the Hazel Street?
No, I did not
Oh, you
say
did
that.
not? Okay.
Nope. I said we're working it very, very hard, and detectives, like I said, have been working pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I think it's important to remember that when you have multiple search warrants, these are not one sheet search warrants. They're usually multiple pages. They have to articulate why we want to search a particular residence or some other location. And we have to articulate that to the point where a judge reads that and says, yes, I'm going to authorize you to do that search. And those things can take, from beginning to end, each search warrant can take hours and hours and hours, sometimes multiple people involved. So again, I can't say how proud I am of my detectives and how much work goes into it. A very small number of people doing a yeoman's job when it comes to trying to get to the bottom of exactly what happened, and again, hold those individuals accountable for taking a life. So, any other questions? And again, on the Hazel one, as soon as we have any information that my detectives are comfortable in releasing, we'll again update you, hopefully sooner rather than later, but we will make that available to you as soon as we can. I know that's a big concern because we have not made an arrest in that yet for that particular act, but we're definitely working toward that end. So, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate our media partners getting the information out. Again, on the first case, if anybody has any information, if they don't feel comfortable calling the sheriff's office, they can always call in tips to Hernando County Crime Stoppers, and they can be eligible for a cash reward, and they will remain anonymous. If they can give us something specific on that case, we will certainly take it and run down any leads. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Well done.
Everybody good?
Come talk to me over here. Okay. Right here? You want to talk to me right here? Or what did you say? Listen to me, Antonio. Okay. I got you. I'll talk to you. They can't go far, though. Antonio, listen. Okay.
I was going to say back up and let him get his food, so
Yeah.
probably.
You want to talk to me right here or you want to talk to me over here? Okay. Well, talk to me. What's going on? I can't barely hear you, though. You want to crack it a little bit? You want to go to the window? Hey, Antonio, you're not in trouble. Okay, well, okay. God dang.
Tonight, it is the video you have to see to believe. A Hillsborough County man violently attacks a young woman in her apartment complex gym, but she is having none of it.
Arrested the next day. He's charged with sexual battery, false imprisonment, and kidnapping. Live in the newsroom, Trevor Sahaki, 8 on your side.
If you're 45 and older and live in the United States and you still don't have life insurance, we're going to show you how easy it is.
Tonight, it is the video you have to see to believe. A Hillsborough County man violently attacks a young woman in her apartment complex gym, but she is having none of it. And it was all caught on security cameras. News Channel 8's Trevor Sohaki is in the newsroom tonight with her incredible survival story. Trevor.
Jen, the victim here thought her attacker was working out, but after fighting for her life, the woman wants to talk about her experience to encourage other women who may have been in the same situation to speak out too.
As soon as he was approaching me, I pushed him. I said, bro, what the F are you doing?
Nashali Alma was just doing what so many people do, getting in a late-night workout at her apartment complex's gym. She saw a guy standing outside and let him in, thinking he was doing the same.
Next thing you know, I get up from doing my workout, and I grab my phone, and he just approaches me, and not a single word was exchanged.
Though the security footage is silent, what happened next was violent. The suspect, who police say is Xavier Thomas Jones, tried to grab Alma, but she said she is not someone you want to mess with.
When it was happening, I actually had no fear. I am a bodybuilder, and I'm actually pretty strong. So in my mind, he was kind of equal to me.
As the video shows, she ran to the other side of the gym, trying to call 911.
My advice would be to never give up. My parents always told me in life to never give up on anything. And that's one thing I always kept in my mind when I was fighting him.
The two ended up wrestling on the ground.
At the end of the video, you can see him getting tired. Because the more fight you put, the more they want to give up and just stop.
The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office arrested Thomas Jones less than 24 hours later.
I was overwhelmed with emotion of how proud I was that this victim wasn't going to allow herself to be raped, and how hard she fought and the strength she had.
Sheriff Chad Chronister is glad Alma spoke up, and so is she.
I was assaulted, but that's not going to stop me from living. That's not going to stop who I am. That's not going to stop what I want to do in life.
Now, this all happened on January 22nd. Thomas Jones was arrested the next day. He's charged with sexual battery, false imprisonment, and kidnapping. Live in the newsroom, Trevor Sahaki, 8 on your side.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today. Once again, as you can see by the group of people we have here,
What is up, everyone? Coach D Speaks here. So Lauren Boebert's in Congress, and she's sitting in an office, and she's doing a podcast. And while she's doing that podcast, the things that she says, it's just so crazy to me, the things that come out of these people's mouths without them understanding the depth of what they're saying. So she's sitting there and she's talking about how her kids are running around, roaming around, riding on chairs, wheeling in through the halls of Congress, racing each other and all that. And then she says something about how she's there in Congress because she doesn't want her kids to live in a socialist society. And that statement is so profound. She doesn't understand how profound it is, but the statement and the circumstances around that statement are so profound that it has to be explained for her to understand how profound it is. And so that's what I'm going to do. I want you guys to watch this video, and then I'm going to explain just how profound and deep the statements that she makes actually are. Check out the video.
We don't have the Senate, we don't have the White House, but we are paving the way for policies that will actually work when we do get these things back and we have that control again, so we can really get America back on track. That's why I'm here. I'm here so my 4 boys, 3 of them are running around. They were just wheeling chairs and having races out in the hallway. I'm here so my boys will not live in a socialist nation.
Okay, so Lauren Boebert doesn't want her kids growing up in a socialist society. And that statement is more profound than she could ever imagine. And let's take a look at it, because it's almost like she doesn't realize that thanks to the American taxpayer, she gets to bring her kids with her to work and allow staffers to look over them while she does a podcast. That is a luxury that she would never want afforded to you or me. I mean, no joke. She would never in her wildest dreams introduce legislation to help single moms get free childcare, or teachers, firefighters, or police officers to have taxpayer-sponsored at-work childcare. But let's go on, because again, she actually evoked socialism, which she obviously has no idea what that means. Something else that is thanks to the American taxpayers, and that is us, is that if her boys get hurt while wheeling chairs and racing through the halls of Congress, they will be seen by the best doctors, the best nurses, and they will receive the best care at no charge to her. They will have the best meals in that hospital and get the best prescription name brand drugs, again, at no cost to her. That is another luxury that she would never want extended to you or me. Something else that is thanks to the American taxpayer is that she makes a base salary of $174,000 a year. And while she's on the clock, she gets to tweet insults about the President of the United States with zero accountability. Yet she would never pay or vote for teachers to have their pay extended for the time that they spend working for their students outside of work hours. In fact, anytime legislation is introduced that is regarding teacher pay, her party instead calls teachers groomers and says that they're indoctrinating kids, and they try to lower the teaching standards so that they can pay them less. Something else that is thanks to the American taxpayer is that she has paid vacation and time off that equals like 3 months a year. But if you or I were to ask for paid time off or paid maternity leave, what are you, a freaking communist? Again, remember, she said she doesn't want her kids to grow up in a socialist society. Yet every benefit she is afforded mimics democratic policies that she demonizes and calls socialists. She has universal taxpayer health care. That means we, the taxpayers, pay for it. She has a fair living wage paid for by, again, us, the taxpayers. See, they make sure that they're paid well while they constantly vote against raising your wages, your salaries, and your benefits. She has government-sponsored time with her children, yet if you or I were to ask for paid family leave or subsidized childcare or free childcare at work, that's socialism, and we're not putting up with that. Her kids are literally living under policies she calls socialists, while she rails against those same policies for you and I. Period.
The best part of waking up? MAGA tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA tears mug available now at store.midastouch.com. That's store.midastouch.com. It's 100% union made right here in the USA. I know I'm not tired of winning yet. How about you? Get yours today.
This is the AccuBrush paint edging system, which you are seeing in use right here. Take a look at how quickly we can edge around this window using the AccuBrush. There is not a product on the market that can edge as quickly or as accurately as the AccuBrush paint edger. It has a small brush which will automatically give us professional results against doors, windows, ceilings, and baseboards. It also comes in a POLK.
Wow, today's show, it's a whopper. We dig into the genius and coming up, we're going to go behind the top 10 songs of this very same week from the Coming up next, we're going to count down the top 10 songs of this very same week from the year 1985. Now, after we count them down, we're going to recalibrate them based on their all-time performance up to this very day. We're going to show you what the real top 10 is. We're going to include memories from you and exclusive artist commentary on these songs. This one's really cool because you have a bunch of heavyweights going toe-to-toe. Who's the real number one? Is it a hard rock band? Is it a new wave group? Is it a one-hit wonder or a power ballad? You're going to find out next on the Hit Song Redux. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Make sure that you subscribe below right now to be a part of our Music History Daily. Straight from the artist, check the box so you never miss out on our exclusive content. Also, check us out on Patreon. You can click on the link in the description, and you can also see our new merch below, including this
There you go.
We do a little AC/DC for you. I think this is the last song of the night. Can't believe I get to sing it. I have no experience as a singer. I just karaoke, but I'm gonna do my best.
Just sing, honey.
I'll just sing, yeah. You help me with the backups, please, bro.
You gotta turn it off. Who the hell turned it off? I'll probably do that. One more song. You think, dummy?
One more song. No problem. 20 seconds?
Is that mic on? Pearl.
We got 2 hours, actually. More than close to 2, man. We should keep this going for another
Hello.
Yo. All right. Going back to 1980, 81. Yeah, I think this is on the High Voltage album, right? See me right. See me right. Down to the sunset. On Yahweh. Thank you very much. Good night. We love you all.
Yeah. Straight from fucking Australia.
If you're learning guitar late in life, there's one distinction that will determine if you're gonna succeed or fail, and I'm gonna show it to you in this video. After teaching over 35,000 guitar students just like you, I can determine with incredible accuracy whether you'll fizzle out and quit, or if you'll become an actual guitar player. Do you have any guesses yet? Watch very closely for the answer. The top shows a person who just dabbles at guitar. They'll go all in on something exciting, then have long stretches of time without actually playing. Every time they start up again, they go back to the beginning, never building on top of previous success. On the bottom is a person who quickly
Well, I don't know if this young lady needs any kind of introduction, but I will introduce her anyway. It's Louise Harrison. You may have heard of her brother George, this right here, this guy right here. And Louise has put together, is this your first or second book?
Well, it's my first book, but I have also had a book out that somebody else had written about George's visit to the United States back in 1963.
And this book is called My Kid Brother's Band.
Also known as the Beatles.
Good morning. We're going on the record at 9:38 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on August 10th, 2022. Please note that the microphones are sensitive and may pick up whispering and private conversations. Please mute your phones at this time. Audio and video recording will continue to take place unless all parties agree to go off the record. This is Media Unit 1 of the video recorded deposition of Donald J. Trump taken by counsel in the matter of financial statements and investigation for the state of New York, Office of Attorney General. The location of the deposition is 28 Liberty Street, New York, New York. My name is Zeph Koda, representing Veritex, and I am the videographer. The court reporter is Linda Greenstein from the firm Veritex. I am not authorized to administer an oath. I am not related to any party in this action, nor am I financially interested in the outcome. Counsel and all present, including those remotely, have been noted for the record. Will the court reporter please swear in the witness, and then counsel may proceed.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Trump. My name is Letitia James, and I'm the Attorney General of the great state of New York. Before we begin, if everyone would please silence their cell phones, we would appreciate that. I wanted to begin with some preliminary rules, some ground rules, if you don't mind, and then I'm going to turn it over to Kevin Wallace, who will conduct this examination. Mr. Trump, you've testified under oath many times. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so I take it you are familiar with the ground rules on for how testimony proceeds. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll skip that part of the introduction. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. And are you okay right now? Okay. Good. What I will do is explain some differences between the procedures in a civil deposition and the testimony we are taking today, because this is an investigatory proceeding. You do not have a right to have an attorney with you in this investigation, but I have agreed that your attorney will be present today. However, this examination is not the same as a deposition in ordinary civil litigation, and your attorney's role will be limited to consultation with you in order to give you legal advice regarding privileged matters, if any, or your right not to incriminate yourself. Notwithstanding any objection by your attorneys, you are still required to respond to any questions unless your attorney specifically directs you not to answer. Anything you say in this examination may be used in a civil proceeding, and that can include a civil enforcement proceeding or a criminal action. Do you understand that?
I think.
Is that a yes?
I don't know what I did wrong, but the answer is yes, I do understand.
Thank you. You have the right to refuse to answer any question if a truthful answer to the question would tend to incriminate you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And any willful misstatement by you may constitute perjury. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, this investigation is confidential. We request that you not discuss this matter, your testimony here today, and any documents that you have produced or may produce in connection with today's testimony with anyone other than your attorneys. Do you understand that, sir?
No. When you say confidential, we're not allowed to talk about this to the press, or?
Correct.
I believe what she
Sorry.
means is what happened in this room, the details of what happened in this room.
Okay.
Obviously,
It's okay with me.
Yeah.
And the fact that it happened, yes, but not the details.
Okay.
Neither you nor anyone acting on your behalf has the right to obtain a copy of the transcript of your testimony here today from the reporter. And neither you nor Veritex are permitted to release copies of the transcript to anyone other than representatives of this office, the Office of the Attorney General. Extensive note-taking or any attempt to create a transcript of the proceedings here by you or your attorneys is not authorized and will not be permitted. Are you taking any medication or drugs of any kind that make it difficult for you to understand or answer any of the questions today, sir?
No. An aspirin.
And are you feeling okay today?
Yes.
And are you sick today?
No.
Okay. And do you have any conditions that could prevent you from giving full, complete, and truthful answers to any questions today?
No.
And is there any other reason why you cannot give full, complete, and accurate testimony here today?
Well, you have to, I'll be doing this.
Yes. No.
No, other than what I'm saying.
Okay. I'm now going to turn it over to Kevin Wallace. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Trump.
Good morning.
As the Attorney General mentioned, my name is Kevin Wallace. Sitting next to me is Alex Finkelstein from our office. And sitting next to him is Samantha Stern, who's a paralegal with our office. They're going to be assisting me during the day today. I'm going to take a moment just to correct one thing from the read-in, is that we go off the record not when both parties agree, but when the Attorney General directs that we are off the record. During these proceedings, the Attorney General controls the record. Mr. Trump, what did you do to prepare for today's examination?
You can start. You can read your sentence.
Very little.
Read your statement.
If you'd like, I could read the statement, but very little.
Well,
excuse me.
Read the statement.
can we go?
Yes, he would like
I will
to.
now use my moment to go off the record.
Thank you. Sorry. Just read the statement.
We're going off the record at 9:44 a.m.
Charge your phone 40% faster with this new 4-port charging device. This $37 phone charger is taking the world by storm.
We're back on the record at 9:45 a.m.
Mr. Trump, I understand you have a statement that you wanted to read into the record.
Yes.
Would you please feel free to start at any time?
Thank you very much. This is the greatest witch hunt in the history of our country. There has never been another president, or perhaps even another politician, who has been persecuted, harassed, and in every other way unfairly treated like President Donald J. Trump. What Letitia James has tried to do the last number of years is a disgrace to the legal system, an affront to the New York State taxpayers, and a violation of the solemn rights and protections afforded by the United States Constitution. She developed a political platform and made a career out of maliciously attacking me and my business before she even understood or was elected or reviewed one of the millions of pages of documents we willingly produced. We willingly produced these documents. James proclaimed that she, quote, looks forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day suing me and then going home. This is during her campaign. She announced that she was obsessed with, quote, taking me on, and that her eyes were set on Trump Tower, quote, Trump Tower. She even assured her supporters as an election promise very strongly that, quote, we're going to definitely sue him. Before she even knew anything about me, we're going to be a real pain in his ass. He's going to know my name personally. And she claimed I was on an illegitimate, and that it was an illegitimate president. Quote, illegitimate president. In her AG speech, she promised to, quote, shine a bright light into every dark corner of Trump's real estate holdings. Shortly thereafter, she vowed to, quote, use every area of the law to investigate President Trump and his business transactions, and that of his family as well. She knows nothing about us. This is when she knew absolutely nothing about us. It was very unfair. This whole thing is very unfair. As a pretense for commencing her bogus investigation, Letitia James relied on the testimony of Michael Cohen, a convicted felon and liar. The Southern District of New York astutely described Cohen as a man who, quote, repeatedly used his power and influence for deceptive ends by engaging in, quote, extensive, deliberate, and serious criminal conduct consistent with a, quote, pattern of deception that permeated his professional life. This was in a long, many-page statement by him. It only gets worse. This is the witness, a stone-cold loser, a real loser, that she used to justify her obsessive work, her obsessive investigation of me, even though he got in civil and criminal trouble for representing himself on a taxi cab company that he had and other things, and also others as a lawyer. I once asked, if you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment? I was asking that question. Now I know the answer to that question. When your family, your company, and all the people in your orbit have become the targets of an unfounded, politically motivated witch hunt supported by lawyers, prosecutors, and even the fake news media, you really have no choice. We cannot permit a renegade and out-of-control prosecutor to use this investigation as a means of advancing her political career. New York deserves better, and this country deserves better. Being a prosecutor is a very important thing. This is a vindictive and self-serving fishing expedition, the likes of which this country has perhaps never seen before. If there was any question in my mind, the raid on my home 2 days ago, Mar-a-Lago, Palm Beach, Florida, by the FBI, just 2 days prior to this deposition, think of it, wiped out any of that uncertainty. I have absolutely no choice because the current administration and many prosecutors in this country have lost all moral and ethical bounds of decency. Anyone in my position not taking the Fifth Amendment would be a fool, an absolute fool. One statement or answer that is ever so slightly off, just ever so slightly, by accident, by mistake, such as it was a sunny and beautiful day when actually it was slightly overcast, would be met by law enforcement at a level seldom seen in this country, because I've experienced it. The United States Constitution exists for this very purpose, and I will utilize it to the fullest extent and defend myself against this malicious attack by this administration, this Attorney General's office, and all other attacks on my family, my business, and our country. Accordingly, under the advice of my counsel and for all of the above reasons, I respectfully decline to answer the questions under the rights and privileges afforded to every citizen under the United States Constitution. This will be my answer to any further questions.
Include among the rights and privileges afforded every citizen under the United States Constitution, does that include the Fifth Amendment right to avoid incrimination?
Yes.
So your counsel?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I will just note for the record that was a lengthy statement. Obviously, we disagree with all of the characterizations, but to keep today's proceedings moving, I'm going to move on to my questioning. So, Mr. Trump, I take it you are not going to answer any questions about your preparation today with your counsel. Is that correct?
Then, should I say this, or should I respond to that?
Just read that.
For all of the reasons provided in my answer, which is incorporated herein in its entirety, I decline to answer the question.
Mr. Trump, the focus of our investigation and what we are primarily going to cover today involves the presentation of your statements of financial condition between 2011 and the present. I take it you are generally familiar with those statements. Is that correct?
For all of the reasons provided in my answer, which is incorporated herein in its entirety, I decline to answer the question.
Okay. Did you review any of those statements from the period 2011 to 2021 during your preparation for today's testimony?
For all of the reasons provided in my answer, which is incorporated herein in its entirety, I decline to answer the question.
Counsel, I think we can all stipulate that if he says same answer, we will all understand it to be the same invocation.
That's correct.
To speed things up. Okay.
No problem.
With that note, sir, you are currently the president of the Trump Organization. Is that correct?
Same answer.
And when I refer to the Trump Organization, is it accurate to describe that as the trade name for an umbrella organization that holds assets beneficially owned by you?
Same answer.
Is it fair to say that the Trump Organization sits on top of several hundred different legal entities?
Same answer.
Are the assets of the Trump Organization currently held in a revocable trust?
Same answer.
Is that revocable trust the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust dated April 7, 2014?
Same answer.
And you are the donor of the assets in that trust, is that correct?
Same answer.
And you are the sole beneficiary of the assets in that trust, is that correct?
Same answer.
Why did you form that trust in April 2014?
Same answer.
Who were the trustees when the trust was first founded?
Same answer.
At some point, Alan Weisselberg and your son, Don Jr., were the trustees, is that correct?
Same answer.
Did you ever consider retaining independent trustees to oversee the trust?
Same answer.
At present, your son, Don Jr., is the sole trustee, is that correct?
Same answer. Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Trump, the court reporter has handed you a document. It is a printout of an Excel spreadsheet, so it doesn't have a document number on it. But I'll represent to you that it is the supporting spreadsheet for your statement of financial condition for the year June 30, 2011. Do you recognize the form of this document?
Same answer.
This is the supporting data spreadsheet that was used to prepare your 2011 statement of financial condition. Is that correct?
Same answer.
The spreadsheet is used to calculate the valuations contained in the statement of financial condition. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed this document with Alan Weisselberg before it was finalized as part of the 2011 statement of financial condition. Is that
Same
correct?
answer.
You reviewed this document with Jeff McConney before the 2011 statement of financial condition was issued. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed and approved the valuations and valuation methods contained in this document before it was finalized. Is that correct?
Same answer.
And you approved the valuations and valuation methods contained in this document before it was finalized. Is that correct?
Same answer.
The valuations contained in this document reflect false and misleading valuation statements. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You were aware at the time this was finalized that the statement of financial condition for 2011 contained false and misleading statements. Is that correct?
Same answer.
In preparing the 2011 statement of financial conditions, Alan Weisselberg and Jeff McConney worked at your direction and followed your instructions and inflated asset valuations on the statement of financial conditions by employing false or misleading assumptions. Is that correct?
Same answer.
From at least 2005 through the present, you've had an ongoing agreement with Mr. Weisselberg and Mr. McConney that they would prepare the statement of financial condition in a manner that included valuations that depended on false and misleading assumptions as a means of inflating reported values. Is that correct?
Same answer.
From at least 2005 through the present, you have had an ongoing agreement with Mr. Weisselberg and Mr. McConney and others that they would prepare the statement of financial condition in a manner that included intentional overvaluations. Is that correct?
Same answer.
From at least 2005 through the present, you have had an ongoing agreement with Mr. Weisselberg and Mr. McConney and others that they would prepare the statement of financial condition in a manner that included false and misleading valuation statements. Is that correct?
Same answer.
Can we go off the record for 1 sec?
We're going off the record at 1:51 p.m. Can we just do this thing?
We're at 29, right?
We're back on the record at 1:53 p.m.
Mr. Trump, we don't have a hard copy of the next document, but I'm going to designate the document that is up on the screen as Exhibit 29. This is an electronic copy of the supporting spreadsheet for your statement of financial condition. It bears the production number. Let me say the document bears the production number Mazars NYAG 00161836. Do you recognize the form of this document?
Same answer.
This is the supporting data spreadsheet for the 2019 statement of financial condition. Is that correct?
Same answer.
This spreadsheet was used to calculate the valuations contained in the statement of financial condition. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed this document with Alan Weisselberg and your son Don Trump Jr. before it was finalized as part of the 2019 statement of financial condition. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed and approved the valuations and valuation methods contained in this document before it was finalized. Is that correct?
Same answer.
The 2019 statement of financial condition contained false and misleading valuations and statements. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew at the time it was finalized that the year 2019 statement of financial condition contained false and misleading statements. Is that correct?
Same answer.
In preparing the 2019 statement of financial condition, Mr. Weisselberg and Mr. McConney worked at your direction and followed your instructions to inflate asset valuations on the statement of financial condition by employing false and misleading assumptions. Is that correct?
Same answer.
Others in the accounting department also worked with Mr. Weisselberg and Mr. McConney to follow your instructions and inflate asset valuations on the statement of financial condition by employing false or misleading assumptions. Is that correct?
Same answer.
Mr. Trump, the court reporter has handed you a document that has been designated Exhibit 30. It bears the production number DB NYAG 8537. Has a title Donald J. Trump, Statement of Financial Condition, June 30, 2020. This is your Statement of Financial Condition for the year 2020, is that correct?
Same answer.
You approved this document before it was issued, is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed the valuations and valuation methods contained in this document before it was issued, is that correct?
Same answer.
This is, we'll stop there actually, and let me get into the document. Oh, Samantha, could you put up, is it? Samantha has put up on the screen a document that bears the production number Mazars NYAG 001-62291. Do you recognize the form of this document?
Same answer.
This is the supporting data spreadsheet for the 2020 Statement of Financial Condition, is that correct?
Same answer.
This spreadsheet was used to calculate the valuations contained in the Statement of Financial Condition, is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed this document with Alan Weisselberg before it was finalized as part of the 2020 Statement of Financial Condition, is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed and approved the valuations and valuation methods contained in this document before it was finalized, is that correct?
Same answer.
So the 2020 Statement of Financial Condition contained false and misleading valuations and statements, is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew at the time it was finalized that the 2020 Statement of Financial Condition contained false and misleading statements, is that correct?
Same answer.
In preparing the 2020 Statement of Financial Condition, Alan Weisselberg, Jeff McConney, and others worked at your direction and followed your instructions to inflate asset valuations on the Statement of Financial Condition by employing false or misleading assumptions, is that correct?
Same answer.
That's 31, yeah. Mr. Trump, the court reporter has handed you a document that has been designated as Exhibit 32. It has the production number DB NYAG 405109. It is entitled Donald J. Trump, Statement of Financial Condition, June 30, 2021. This is your 2021 Statement of Financial Condition, is that correct?
Same answer.
You approved this document before it was issued, is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed the valuations and valuation methods contained in this document before it was issued, is that correct?
Same answer.
Sam, would you pull up the next document, please? Yep. Mr. Trump, Samantha has pulled up onto the screen a document that has the production number TTO 061-66407, and we will designate this as Exhibit 33. This is the supporting data spreadsheet for the year 2021 Statement of Financial Condition, is that correct?
Same answer.
This spreadsheet was used to calculate the valuations contained in the Statement of Financial Condition, is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed this document with Alan Weisselberg and your son, Don Trump Jr., before it was finalized as part of the 2021 Statement of Financial Condition. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You reviewed and approved the valuations and valuation methods contained in this document before it was finalized. Is that correct?
Same answer.
The 2021 Statement of Financial Condition contained false and misleading valuations and statements. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew at the time it was finalized that the 2021 Statement of Financial Condition contained false and misleading statements. Is that correct?
Same answer.
In preparing the 2021 Statement of Financial Condition, Mr. Weisselberg, Mr. McConney, and others worked at your direction and followed your instructions to inflate asset valuations on the Statement of Financial Condition by employing false and misleading assumptions. Is that correct?
Same answer.
Can we go off the record?
We're going off the record at 2 p.m.
I'm just going to get some water.
We're back on the record at 2:04 p.m.
Mr. Trump, for each year from 2011 to 2021, did you or someone acting at your direction sign, actually, let's strike that question. Mr. Trump, for each year from 2011 to 2020, did you or someone acting at your direction sign an engagement letter with the Mazars firm to prepare the statement of financial condition?
Same answer.
In the year 2021, did you or someone acting at your direction sign an engagement letter with Whitley Penn to prepare your statement of financial condition?
Same answer.
For the years 2011 through 2020, did you or someone acting at your direction sign a representation letter to the Mazars firm concerning the accuracy of the statements in the statement of financial condition?
Same answer.
For the year 2021, did you or someone acting in your direction sign a certification letter attesting to the accuracy of the statement of financial condition for the Whitley Penn firm?
Same answer.
We had, do we want to do them? Yeah, do tab 64.
Thank you.
Mr. Trump, the court reporter has handed you a document that has been designated as Exhibit 34. It is a certification to Deutsche Bank from you, Donald J. Trump, dated November 11, 2014. If you could take a look at the second page of this document. Is that your signature on page 2?
Same answer.
If you look at the first bullet point under point number 1, it says attached here too is guarantor's statement of financial condition as of June 30, 2014. Were you aware that this submission of your statement of financial condition was a material term of your loan with Deutsche Bank?
Same answer.
If you turn to the second page, under point 6, it states all of the representations and warranties made by guarantor under section 9 little I to 9 little 4, 6, and sections false assumptions. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew at the time the valuation was submitted to the IRS that the Seven Springs appraisal incorporated intentionally false assumptions about the development timeline for the site. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew at the time the valuation was submitted to the IRS that the Cushman appraisers adopted these assumptions intentionally to inflate the value of the easement donation. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew that inflating the appraised value would increase the tax deduction available to you. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew that your attorney, Sherry Dillon, asked the Cushman and Wakefield appraisers to inflate the value of the easement. Is that correct?
Same answer.
Did you instruct her to get them to reach a higher value?
Same answer.
You were aware that approvals you had received from the town of Bedford, no, strike that. You were aware of the appraisals you had received from the town of Bedford and its agencies for the development of the Seven Springs site. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You were aware of the restrictions that these approvals incorporate. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You are aware that the approvals restricted the number of lots that could be accessed from the town of Bedford. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew that the valuations submitted to the IRS incorporate assumptions that failed to acknowledge development restrictions imposed by the town of Bedford. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You submitted a valuation on the Seven Springs easement to the IRS, knowing that the valuation depended on an inflated number of lots. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew that Ms. Dillon would seek to conceal communications related to her work on the Seven Springs appraisal. Is that correct?
Same answer.
Looks like when we were transcribing, I may have talked about approvals from the town of Bedford. I may have muddled it and said appraisals from the town of Bedford.
Right. That's
but
right.
I meant to say approvals. Okay. Mr. Trump, going back to your Doral loan, is it correct that through the use of the inflated statement of financial condition to obtain a favorable interest rate, that you were able to save approximately 6% per annum on interest payments owing on your $125 million in loans from Deutsche Bank?
Same answer.
Regarding your Chicago property, is it correct that through the use of the inflated statement of financial condition, you were able to save at least 4% per annum in the interest payments on loans from Deutsche Bank originating in 2012 in connection with the Trump International Hotel and Tower Chicago?
Same answer.
With regards to your old post office property, is it correct that through the use of the inflated statement of financial condition to obtain a favorable interest rate, you were able to save at least 5% per annum in interest payments on the construction loan of up to $170 million from Deutsche Bank?
Same answer.
Is it correct that absent the $170 million construction loan from Deutsche Bank, you would not have obtained the ground lease on the old post office property or been able to provide the renovation to the property that occurred?
Same answer.
Next question is about apartments held by your daughter at 502 Park Avenue. Do you know if the below market rent that she had on her rental apartments at 502 Park Avenue were provided in exchange for work performed as part of her responsibilities at the Trump Organization?
Same answer.
Do you know if the below market purchase options that you provided your daughter on 502 Park Avenue apartments was made in exchange for work performed as part of her job at the Trump Organization?
Same answer.
Do you know if the benefits from any below market rents were reflected in any tax forms at the Trump Organization?
Same answer.
Do you know if the value of any below market purchase options were reflected as either gifts or compensation on any tax forms at the Trump Organization?
Same answer.
We can go off the record.
Okay.
We're going off the record at 3:12 p.m.
While we're off the record, let's do any of my...
We're back on the record at 3:12 p.m.
Mr. Trump, just back on the record.
And we're, sorry.
As I was saying, we are back on the record to confirm that we have completed our testimony today. Thank you for your appearance.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everybody.
Off the record.
Thank you all.
We're on the record at 3:13 p.m. and this concludes today's testimony given by Donald J. Trump. Of course,